You comfy?
I'm so comfy.
Why are you so comfy?
Well, talking to Brendan from Convulsing, and we were talking about listening to a record and leaving the windows open and lighting a candle and just existing, you know? And it got me thinking we could be more cozy.
We could. The blanket needs to stay.
Yeah, I like the blanket. It's the same colour as these Skull draft cans.
It was a good chat today, though.
It was.
Talk. Brendan, he could talk for hours, and I'd be very happy to listen to some of his stories, some of his insights.
Yeah.
Cool musician, great musician, knows a lot of people in the biz.
Yeah. Convulsing, Alters, so many other projects. Just hearing about how it all begins, really, and leaves a bedroom, which is pretty cool. We're upstairs at the Bendy, once again, in their little band room.
Yep.
New stage is pretty cool.
Yeah. Thursday nights look good here.
Mm-hmm. Buckwild Thursdays.
Recommend it if you're a starting off band.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. Get in touch.
This is episode 8 of 2025. This
Cheers.
is the Hook, Riff and Banger podcast. I'm Jess.
I'm Dan. I'm sleepy.
Put a record on. Relax.
Oh,
That's actually really good. That's really good for something that was at
Dave going. Is this much of a giggle fest every time, so get it.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, we're professionals.
Try not to participate.
Keep your giggles to a minimum. No, giggle it up. It is that kind of pod. Welcome to episode 8 of the Hook, Riff and Banger podcast of 2025. We're upstairs at the Bendigo Hotel in their band room. They just got a new stage.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's solid.
It is pretty solid. We've all jumped on it at some point this morning. If you're a band that wants to play up here, do that for a Buckwild Thursday. It's pretty cool. Today we're here with Brendan from Convulsing and Alters, among other things. Thanks for coming on the pod.
My pleasure.
It's good to have you.
Yeah. Well, I say that's very arrogant of me already. Fuck. It's good for me to be here. That's what I should
It is
say.
good for you to be. It's good for us that you're here.
Whose pleasure is it? Is ours or your pleasure?
It's someone's pleasure.
Yeah.
All.
Oh.
An unknown pleasure.
Welcome. It's really cool to have you here. I was very excited to talk to you today. About Convulsing, about Alters, about other projects that you're involved with. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to talk? You're involved in a lot of little things.
In the beginning.
Take us back to where it began.
Where it began is more or less where it has stayed, in my fucking bedroom. I grew up in Western Sydney, and at the time I was growing up, nobody wanted to play Suffocation. It was the peak period of metalcore in Western Sydney, like PCYC metalcore, so like Shinto Katana and Prom Queen and Parkway Drive and stuff, sort of at the gatesy melodic hardcore, but kind of metal. So that's more or less where me as a metal musician began, was trying to play death metal on my own as an extremely bullied, like 13-year-old, 12-year-old. And what's more or less remained there, like Convulsing itself is a bedroom thing for me in one manifestation of it. So I never really escaped the Western Sydney bedroom in many ways, I guess. So philosophically and I guess mentally, I'm still there, even while I'm here.
So the physical location has changed, but
yeah,
that's about it. Like
yeah. Well, there's more. I guess there's more to it than that. I've talked about it other times as well. Like, I grew up in a very unmusical family. Like my old man is ostensibly a metalhead, was into Sabbath. I was going to say Zeppelin, and I said Sabbath. Sabbath and Zeppelin and like Jethro Tull and 70s sort of prog adjacent metal and rock. And big time Rush fan, but he imported the Rush fandom from my mother. Well, my mother also is very non-musical, like never really got into anything except Simply Red in my lifetime and like Craig David. Yeah, like one of I think only 2 records I remember my mum buying in my childhood was whatever Simply Red record has Fairground on it, just like some fucking late 90s sort of club banger thing with like a breakbeat on it. And then she bought Born to Do It when I was 10 or 11 when that came out.
Wow.
I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But I remember going to some sort of appointment with her while listening to Craig David in the car. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I ever heard her listen to it recreationally. So anyway, weird family, weird start for me.
Mm. We all like what we like.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, going back, no shade on Craig David.
Not at all. 7 Days is a banger.
Select that. The guy had something. But that's where I come from. It's a sort of, I'm the stereotypical black sheep, I guess, of my family, where I was the weirdest one and the one most into music and art. My sister is a dancer. Perhaps not physically a dancer anymore, but like at least mentally that's where she is. Like she was big into it when she was younger. Now she's more of a petrol head. That's a whole other discussion. She's like into nitro dragsters and
Sick.
like door slammers and shit. Yeah, and she met her husband, who is a sweetie, at the Western Sydney Dragway. Like that's where they had their first date.
Oh,
Wow.
It was at the Dragway, and they've been together ever since. Very cute.
I like that.
that's romance.
So yeah, the rest of my family are not like me.
Yeah.
So I spent all of my time alone with Sepultura and other stuff. But you know, that's where I was. That's where I began it. I guess was at that point.
That's cool. Where did that sort of turn into, writing your own music?
Pretty quick. Like, I'm of the disposition, I guess, where I want to get as good at, or I want to learn as much about a thing that I'm interested in and get as good as I can be at it as quickly as possible. And when you don't have much of a social life, as a kid, your hobbies are just the thing that you throw yourself into. And the internet was fresh. It was like, I got an internet connection in 2001, which is also the worst time to get a fucking internet connection. Post 9/11 shit. Fucking seeing beheadings like when you're 11 years old, which definitely happened to me. So I used that tool and sort of the unregulated, unrestricted access to the internet to learn about metal and playing guitar and stuff. And I fanned out from I used to be into electronic music. I started at the very beginning playing music in an orchestra. I was a flute player, flute, clarinet, bit of saxophone, but mostly like flutes and clarinets. And I did that for 3 or 4 years between 10 and 11 and 13. Up until the point somebody gave me a bunch of new metal mixtapes or something with Cypress Hill and ICP and NWA, but also Sepultura and Slipknot and Roadrunner new metal this is 2003. And I realized I couldn't do any of that on a flute. I had to play the guitar, so I changed and started playing the guitar. That is where I began the whole thing, and I used the internet to follow that out, follow from Slipknot Volume 3 to Opeth, and then from Opeth to Edge of Sanity, and then Edge of Sanity to Entombed and Dismember, and then from that to Spawn of Possession, and then back again to the US. So I was listening to, and that's just that death metal pathway, and because of unrestricted access and just infinite amounts of time, it was just pirating everything. Everything I could get my hands on, the Fear Factory and SYL, and and then progressive music and power metal, listening to Rhapsody and fucking Camelot and all this at Fate's Warning and Dream Theater, and just everywhere all the time.
Very exciting time, to be honest. It does a lot.
And when you do that and you're fascinated by it, you want to be able to play it all. So I just started trying to work it out. And just along the way, you start fucking around in FL Studio or in Guitar Pro, and you make stuff, and that's where I started it, I guess. But I could never find anybody else who was interested in Carcass or Suffocation or anything in Penrith in 2005. Everyone was fully into metalcore, fully bought into playing Parkway, for better or worse.
So when did you start to come in contact with people who had maybe a similar musical journey or similar interests, I guess?
I don't know, maybe 2014, 15, something like that, maybe. But I wasn't even playing new metal bands.
Yeah.
That's around the time that I joined Dumbsaint. Was 14, 15. And throughout that whole time, like I turned 18 in 2008, so I started going to gigs as soon as I was able. I tried to get into an ISIS show, the one that they filmed at the Annandale when I was 17, and they wouldn't let me in because I was 17, so I couldn't go. And so my first proper gig was like Porcupine Tree at the Enmore Theatre in 2008, because it was the first show that I was able to get a ticket to. Literally the first one after I turned 18. I was like, I'm fucking going. And that's also how I met Matt, who plays in a band called Futility and Ore, and like a bunch of other Sydney bands with Dan, the Alters drummer, and a few other things. Matt Newton. He was standing beside me in the line. We didn't speak, but I remember him because he's a very idiosyncratic person. Like he's a unique, like looking, very tall, very wide, very like. He looks like Matt Newton only. That's a compliment, believe it or not. Yeah. He's just like a recognizable man. So that was the first gig. And so I slowly sort of met people into the same thing as me by going to those shows. But all of the ones that I would have gone to, like Insect Warfare played when I was like 15, fucking Immortal were here.
Oh, yeah.
Like all of these shows happened while I couldn't get into them because there was never any all ages shit in Sydney. And there still really isn't.
It's not much, is there?
No. So I couldn't do it. I didn't have any older siblings. I never had anyone who was like getting me in, like come to the show, I'll get you in, I'll talk to the doors or whatever. Like it didn't happen. So I couldn't meet anybody. All of my mates were from the US or from Europe or whatever. The ones bullying me to listen to like good music and not Slipknot, which I will still contend is good, but that's a different. So that's how long it took, and it took me like basically writing my own album, like writing the first Convulsing album, and then putting that out for people to want to talk to me at shows. And I don't really know why that is still, but I put it out, and then suddenly it was like, that's when the doors opened to the scene for me, is when I actually produced something of my own. But I had to be alone for a really long time before that.
I feel like it's worked, and I don't know how comfortable you are to talk about it, because I feel like some people online have said some pretty huge things about what Convulsing does. You know, it's created ripples, like that kind of thing, and may inspire the future of that style of music. How have you responded to that kind of stuff? Is that something that's really surreal, bizarre? Do you disagree?
Yeah, people get angry with me for disagreeing with it, so I won't openly do that here. But like, I feel unimportant to the whole musical canon. Like I realize and I appreciate that people enjoy what I've done. But to me, it was never, because I was never trying to do that. I wasn't trying to have a broad appeal. I was only trying to litigate some like personal shit that I was only doing this for me in the best way that you can do it, where I had no expectations of any of it. And when I put it out, it was completely for free, and I didn't want anybody to have to like buy it to listen to it. It wasn't for that purpose. It was just like a pure vanity thing. A weird kind of vanity thing to do, in that it was like extremely miserable and defeatist and like, you know, borderline suicidal music to make. Like quite a lot of the content is really dark. But it was just for its own sake. So, and I guess the thing that I can enjoy about it is that sometimes you don't do stuff unless something comes along and shows you that you're allowed to. So I guess if I've been able to show people that you can just simply make an album on your own and you can do it about whatever you like if you have the resources, you do need some sort of resource. Like DIY isn't like just do it. You have to actually have the stuff to do it. You have to, and for some people, like for me, as a lower middle class cisgendered white man, it was really easy for me to access the stuff to do it. So I have a leg up. But that's, if I can put one thing down in my life as a musician, it's that just make the thing. If you just don't make your artwork, and success isn't required, an audience isn't required, none of that's required. If you're just doing it for yourself, and for an internally like significant reason. Like for me, the straw that broke it was my grandmother died, and I had the reckoning that like she supported me. She was the one who was like paying for me to get my first iPod, like which I still have. Like this is it.
Whoa.
And like calling me up and going, hey, this thing just came out and you can listen to like thousands of songs on it. Does that sound like a good, like my grandma was my biggest supporter for that sort of stuff. And I never made anything that she heard. Like I was always just in the bedroom. I remember having a conversation toward the end of her life about why the guitar solos on that Vital Remains record with Ralph Santola were really good. So I'm like sitting there playing like Homage to Satan to her, and there's this like really like ornate neoclassical guitar solo that pops in, and I'm making my mom listen to like my grandmother listen to like Glenn Benton. I'm just going like, can't you hear? And she's like, I don't understand why this appeals to you. I was like, can't you hear? It's like Vivaldi. It's like. So when she died, that was a pretty devastating blow. She was like, she had a complicated end to her life where she was the primary carer to my granddad on my mother's side. And after he died, it was that thing of like, she didn't really have a reason to stay up all the time. She was like, she had to be up to look after him. And when he died, she just kind of went, and then kept going, and eventually just like phased out of existence. Got sick and then didn't feel the energy to like, didn't feel the need to carry on. It was a very like I respect that decision. I was the last one to see her on the day that she died. Like I went in to see her at the hospital, and I even remember the album I was listening to. It was by a band called Advent Sorrow, which is like As All Light Leaves Her, which is a very prophetic thing to listen to. So I went and saw her, and then she died a few hours later, and it was at that point that I had like a reckoning where I was like, oh my god, I didn't make good on any of the promises that I like, the potential there that she was trying to do something with. So that's where the first Convulsing, that's the energy with which the first Convulsing record is made, is with this like miserable regret kind of thing. And it's, for the first half of it, it's kind of obscured and like it's poetic and subtle or whatever, but then by the end it's literally like, I'm gonna hang myself like at the end of the record. So that's where Convulsing begins, and it's a very different thing now to me. But to take it back to your question, or to your statement, I guess, people have approached me to say that album specifically is very meaningful to them, either for like providing a sort of like a cathartic, like a vicarious means of litigating the same subject matter, or it's inspired them that like, you can just make this sort of unpretentious music without much expectation and just like get it there and have it be quite raw, and it doesn't have to be bad. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have all the resources in the world and be on nuclear blast or whatever to like do this shit. You can use the tools that are in front of you and the digital distribution that's available to you. You don't have to align yourself with anything or anyone that you don't want. You can have it completely within your control. And so you have bands like Defacement and a bunch of like my friends in Greece, Kvadrat, Ivan and his cohort started as a solo project. Now it's a band. Defacement started as a solo project basically, and now it's a band. We have from here Cam, who does not Cam, Charlie. Cam is Noel. I was talking to Cam today. Charlie does Cave Sermon. Hasn't turned it into a band yet, but he was here at the show, the Bendy show. It was the first time meeting him. I've been trying to meet him for several years. So like I have these things where people are like, you gave me the confidence that I could actually do this because you did it. So that's one thing that I can't argue with. Like it's objectively happened. Everything else, I'm just another little guy making music, making silly sounds.
I think that's the power of, these DIY scenes that we're part of, that I don't want to use the word like flourishing, but it's like, it's cool once you go to a
Good band,
yeah, well, it's like when you inject yourself and you know, make an effort to go to these shows and get to know everybody there and see these bands. And yeah, they often start as small projects and nobody's out there trying to become big rock stars. Everyone's like, I just want to make music that my friends want to watch, and like we all want to hang out and see each other. And even some of these projects, yeah, like Cave Sermon, like Memory Sphere is one of my favourite records that I bought on Bandcamp over the last couple of years, and I fucking love it. And whether I'll ever get to see that kind of thing live is a mystery, but it doesn't really matter. It's like I love it regardless.
I hope it does. Like,
yeah, I would hope so too.
I will play for him in a heartbeat. I've asked Charlie to play second guitars for me, and he was like, I don't think I could touch any of your materials. Like, what are you talking about? What are you on about? But some people, that it's not for that.
Yeah.
And like that's totally cool. Like another band I never thought I'd see play live is Midnight Odyssey. I thought fully that would just be Old Mate in his room. And recently it's not. And there's been other such examples, like, you know. So it has its pros and cons. And that's why I think about Convulsing as a live band completely differently to the way I think about it as a studio project. For that reason, it is completely different. I don't want Robin and Peter to get on stage and play the parts that I wrote on the album for the robots, like, because I program the drums. Everything else I play, but the drums are programmed. I don't want Robin to just play my MIDI. Like I give them the chart of the song, and then we play like the hits, like where we're all supposed to be at the same place at the same time. We make sure we're there, but the rest is like, do what you want. Play the bass line you want. Play the drum part you want. Play the fill you want. Whatever. Like I want them to have their identities presented, because the record is just me and my identity for the most part. But the live band, there's two other people on stage. So who the fuck am I to rob them of that, you know, individual, what's the word I'm looking for? Agency. Like, but yeah, some people will just stay. And I think certain projects are better for that. Like I never want to see, what's the project that I'm thinking of? Oh, it'll come to me later. There's a few that I never want to see ever, because I feel like it will ruin it. I thought I never wanted to see Author and Punisher, but that worked out well.
Yeah.
But yeah, some should stay there in the bedroom, because it's not about being presented in a space. So mentally, that's where I still am, is I'm trying to, and I'll probably go back to that. The last couple of records I've made, I've been a bit conscious of that I have to play them. And even the newest one, I tried to like let myself off the leash a little bit, but it still was composed with the idea that I'll have to play it in front of people, and I should make certain accommodations for how I arrange it and the types of parts I choose, so that it will be easy for me to do later. Where the first one, I didn't make any such accommodations, and so I had to like design, like I'd squeeze 3 guitar parts into one guitar part and pay a bunch of counterpoint and like arrange things in a certain way to represent them. But I think that in some ways was better. So if I do another thing, I will try to make it more maximalist. I'll forget about the idea that I have to play it and just like do what it is and then work it out later.
Interesting. You I think you posted something you were learning, or not learning a new song, but trying to perform it in a way that, you know, 2 or 3 guitar parts become one, so you can actually perform it live.
Yeah.
I didn't sort of consider the influence it would have on the writing. So I guess how has it been to perform these songs, you know, post releasing the album? Actually feels like almost like a work in progress. You learning how to replay ideas you've made potentially.
Oh, it absolutely is that. Yeah. As I was just saying though, like I wrote it sort of to help myself in the future, but so certain things, like the songs that I really want to play, it requires Robin to have the brain space to learn them, because as a session musician and as like an extremely hyperactive ADHD brain, he just jettisons information as fast as it comes in. It's just like a pipe, and he's got like a memory buffer the width of his skull. And so I need to like get him at the right moment to learn some of the more complicated, weird material. But the songs that I most want to play are also going to be total shit to perform. Like they just will be, to get them to be just so. the material on the earlier albums was a bit less, I don't know, florid. Like, it was less demanding. It was complicated in some ways, but like, when I started playing the shows, I was using just like a distortion pedal, a reverb pedal, and a tuner, and now I have this fucking like spaceship again. Like, I've gone back because I came out of a post-rock band where we had this really, like, Dumbsaint was a really high production affair where we were playing to we were an instrumental band, but we played to films that we directed, like wrote, shot, directed, color graded, all the rest of it, and they were just like silent films basically, but they were tempo and beat mapped to the songs, so like shots would change at the instant the beat would change and the bars would change, and everything was super tight, and we were listening to like not a click track for timing purposes, but more to like stay in time with the video.
Wow.
So it was I never ever felt, or I rarely felt like I was playing a rock show when I played in that band, because we were trying to walk on a tightrope of get it exactly right so that we didn't fuck up like the video sync or any other, like we had to be on it, like no tolerance. And because it was a post-rock band as well, lots of delay and lots of repeating your mistakes back to you on stage if you make a mistake, like from the delay pedal playing the shit chord for like and lots of space to like hear it in 4K that you fucked up. So it was a very high demand thing. So after, and like the first Convulsing record was written and released while we were touring the final album of that band. So the performance aspect of Convulsing was a reaction to that, where I just like took everything away. I was like, no, I'm doing fucking just straight in the amp, one pedal, none of this like high production shit. No click tracks, no fucking pretense. And steadily it's crept back that way as I try to represent the art more fully. It's like it's come back to being like little additional sample bits that are popping out, and like more and more pedals and colors and stuff to try and more MIDI, and to try and really fine tune it to be more of a presentation of the thing and like represent it fully, for better or worse. It's had some positives and some negatives.
Well, I feel like we should talk about Perdurance, last year's release, which I find is a very sick album, but I think there's other ways to describe it. How was that process of writing, recording, in context of, I'm asking too many questions right now, but like in context of what you were talking about, you were writing, knowing that you had to play it live. How was the experience there?
So yeah, I guess I have to contrast it to Grievous in that prior to the second album, I had no ambition to ever play any of the music. And even while I was doing the second album, I had no ambition to play any of it. So it was purely about what the music needed to be to expose whatever it was I was trying to get at in myself. Like, Grievous was an extremely shitty time in my life where everything was sort of coming undone. Errata was already shit, like having that sort of the mortality pointed out to you, that things you love will die. And like, I mean, I already knew that. You already have the crisis of like, I'm gonna die when you're a small child. But like, being faced with things like that, where like, I can't go back and show her that my grandmother, I can't go back and show her how much of an impact that she had on me, really. And I can only hope that she understood that when she died. So that's the energy of Errata. Leading up to Grievous, things continue to unravel in my personal life and in my job life. Like, there's a split in between as well, which is a very angry, it's like a fucking war metal EP 20 minutes thing that I did with Siberian Hell Sounds. And that was happening around the time that my professional life was coming undone. I worked in a store in Sydney, and I was like unfairly dismissed from it, and a few other things that happened. So I was very angry at that time. So I made an angry music. No shit. But consequently, Grievous is really confused, and like it opens with like a sort of a violence, fetishized violence thing of like a struggle, and like lyrically, it opens that way. But it quickly turns into like, well, what now? Now that I've been angry and I've defeated my enemy and there's blood everywhere, what do I do with myself now? And so the rest of the album is this like confusion and like loss of identity and self, and like it's very reverberating, like in the guitar tone and all of the stuff. It's very washy and like diffused and confusing, and the guitars are really loud, and it's this kind of suffocating record. And the artwork from Jeff is like a kind of like a stained glass man, like the Magic the Gathering card, where it's like this. It's like a stained glass guy being encircled by a serpent as his like body is shattering, and he's like trying to like hold on to the pieces of the shattering body, and then inside it is just like a T-posed wooden doll of like a very basic, like a boring entity inside, and it's like all of this artifice is breaking away and dissolving. That's the cover of that record, and it finishes on that sort of the dissolution, the ego death record. It like finishes on that, the dissolution, and it kind of dissolves into static in the reverb. And so that's where I left it. That's where I left myself after that point. And it was released on my 28th birthday, about a week after I had moved from Sydney to South Australia, because I fell in love with my partner at the end of 2017, like sort of in the end of the production process of Grievous. And I just fucking uprooted everything, just deleted my whole life in 2017 and moved after I flew every fortnight to be with her for like 6 to 8 months. I just deleted everything and moved to Adelaide and started again. So Perdurance is made with that in mind, like from 2018 through to 2024. All of the things that happened there in the process of rebuilding my identity, rebuilding myself as a musician, and like getting involved in altars and having a completely different perspective on my life and my place as a musician, and of rebuilding everything. But so that's where it comes from, like energetically. And the title, Perdurance, I guess the neatest way to describe that is objects endure, like apples, or like this beer has an endurance. Like when it gets to here, it will stop enduring. It will cease to exist. But ideas perdure. So like the idea of a human being, or the memory of a person, or the spirit, I guess, or the art of somebody, or the sort of ephemeral aspects of the world and of people and of the universe, I guess, perdure through time, forwards and backwards, and philosophically. And that's how I feel about making art and making music, and the experience of being an artist and a musician, and the way it feels to make it is like I'm reaching into my past for stuff, for ingredients for the broth in my present, but I'm also like thinking about what the broth will be like when it's cooked in the future, to like use a food analogy, I guess, or how things will ferment and become something else. And I'm sort of reaching in both directions, into the future for new stuff and into the past for old stuff, and like how do I feel now also, and like trying to coalesce everything, so I don't feel like I'm in time. I'm like in the past, but also in the future and in the present. And that's the energy of the album as well, I guess. Some of the songs are like, the ideas from them are older than the previous record. Like the earliest ideas of the start of the third track, it is. Inner Oceans is the third track. That's the oldest idea. And that was the thing that I came up with before I wrote a note of the previous album. And it took 6-7 years for me to find its purpose. Like I did unrelated stuff, and then I thought, that's that. It's in the same key as that thing I wrote 7 years ago. And then I reached into the past and retrieved it and put it in the song. And then a couple of weeks later, there was something else that I came up with that I brought forward from the future and put it into the song. So there's that sort of shit happening all the time on a very literal level. And that's where that title comes from. But it's also funny in that I decided I was going to call it that in like 2021, before any of it existed, like before I wrote a single note And before I even thought, and that's sort of another like weird thing about music and the esoteric process of doing art, and particularly for me as it applies to my experiences of making it. I find the outcome of the artwork is way more clever than I thought, and I feel almost like I had nothing to do with it. Like somebody else added all this extra detail that I get to discover after I've already made it, like the synchronicity of certain things. And it felt like that when we made the Alters record as well. It's like the concept ended up more complicated than we thought, than we initially intended it to be, but it wasn't conscious in any way. So that's how I feel about Perdurance, and which is why to me it doesn't feel like I made it last year. It doesn't feel like an old album. I feel like I haven't actually finished it in some ways. Like I'm still making it. I'm still learning how to play it. It's still fresh to me. And part of that comes from the oddball way of releasing it, where I just put it out immediately when it was finished and for free, and all of the post-release shit happens a year in the future, where the vinyl comes out and the shirts, and we can play shows for it. So it's a strange way to make music. And so that's how I feel about it, I guess. In sort of broad terms, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I like how this is not a criticism, but I ask you a question about it, and you keep going back to like other records, other experiences. So it's very, very on point with what you were saying. I guess it's very cool.
And also, creating it's your craft and it's representative of you. And this music is, started as a bedroom project, and you pull from. I could listen to you talk forever about that. It's just the way that you explained what that record meant to you, and how everything that you've ever created and everything you will create, even if it hasn't existed yet, is all tied in together. It's just really fascinating to hear, and you have a good way of explaining it.
Thank you. Well, I generally believe that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It feels very like woo-woo, new spirituality stuff, like we're all in the cosmos together kind of thing. But I wrote it in the fucking liner notes for a reason. It's also a Voivod quote. Like, they didn't mean it like that. But it's from the start of like Killing Technology. There's like a digital voice that goes, "We are connected," because they're talking about literally connecting to the network. But that's kind of how I feel about art, is that you're connecting into something very unexplained. And it's not quite like aliens are giving it to us or anything, but it's like that sort of it's the muse is real, like the idea of the muse. It's a very loaded sort of misogynist poetic concept of like this flirty beautiful muse floats in through your window and gives you the artwork. But I mean in the literal sense of it's an unexplainable sort of creative impulse that you poorly understand the machinations of, but you're compelled to do something about it anyway. And yeah, that's what Perdurance, that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to investigate that with Perdurance. So it's a direct contrast to Grievous, where it's like investigating how do I maintain my identity as it's dissolving. Whereas this one, instead of being like, fuck, everything's falling apart, it's like, how do I rebuild it? Or like, what do I want to rebuild into? What parts from the past can I use? What parts from the future can I use to form something else?
While we're talking about the record, the artwork, how did that come about, and who's the artist behind that?
The artist is Josh Christie. He's an old friend. We don't see each other very often, just because we barely saw each other very often when we lived in the same state, because we went to different high schools in different, like 25 kilometers away. But I'm from the generation where everybody knows everybody on MSN. Like,
Bring back MSN,
I had
honestly.
that little nudge sound just playing in my head. Yeah.
Sorry for everybody who just got like
a full body feeling. Yeah. Bring back MSN, cryptic, the little notes where you song lyrics to describe how we felt.
The little statuses. Exactly.
Yeah, bring it back.
So I knew him from that. And we are into the same sorts of music, and he still comes to shows and he's awesome. But at some point in his life, he developed two interests: oil painting and like sketching, and like he became a really I think he got his start doing really realistic portraits of dogs, like extremely realistic charcoal sketches of dogs.
Wow.
But he taught himself basically how to do this stuff. But he's also into rock climbing. So if you do fine detail work with your hands and you do something where at any moment you can break all of the bones in your body, you're dancing with the devil for like, yeah. And I used to fight, like I was a boxer, Muay Thai fighter. And I stopped doing it for the same or a similar reason, where I became increasingly worried about my hands and my wrists and stuff, and like had to make a decision about whether I was going to do music or whether I was going to break my fucking hands playing boxing. I miss it, but that's a different conversation. So, unsurprisingly, he got severely injured doing some rock climbing bullshit, and had to just be inside, like laid up, like properly laid up for months and months and months. And this is one of the sketches that he did with his, I think he did it with his non-dominant hand. Like he broke his right hand and had to teach himself how to do stuff with his left hand. So at least part of it is like a left-handed thing. And so he did this sketch. I don't think he had a title for it at the time, but when he sent it to me at the end, like when I asked him if I could use it, because I saved it. He posted it on the internet and I saved it in a little folder of like potential album covers like fucking years ago. I was like, this feels special somehow. I'm going to hang on to that. And when it came time to try and find the art, it was probably midway through the process of writing the album, I kept returning to the idea of this sketch. And so I wrote to him and said, hey man, do you still have that? Do you have a high res version of it or something that you can send? And he was like, no, that fucking thing. Look, I'll try to sketch you something better. And he tried for months to do something he thought would be better suited to the music that I was making and couldn't do it. Like everything sucked. He just couldn't get back there to do it. And so he eventually relented and scanned the drawing and sent it to me. And the title of the JPEG was friendandlover.jpg.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't really know. I haven't asked him exactly what he meant by that, but he's had multiple personal tragedies, like, and dissolutions of his relationship and stuff like this. So it was probably some interlinked thing around then as well that gave it that title. But the way that I interpret it, all of the Convulsing things so far have been some sort of humanist, like it's been a face on the cover of all of them, including the Split, which is a public, what's it called? A free, like a royalty-free public, it's like the punishment of Titius or something. It's like it's basically like a Sisyphus myth of like a vulture pecking at the entrails for eternity. That's the cover of the sketch. So they're all this like human punishment ritual thing. The first one is a very dehumanized sketch of a human done by Josh Skinner, who just had an exhibition at Black Sound recently. So you could go and see the full original of that. The second one is Jeff from Leviathan, who offered to paint for my album, which blows me away even now. He like wrote to me and said, you should let me make the cover for your album. I was like, oh yes sir. Like and so it's a humanistic thing as well. And so this one, in the same way, as sort of in a similar way to the previous record, it's sort of a dissolved, or like it's like the recombination of a human face, where like it's like a, how can I put it? Like an undetailed a template, like an empty vessel, like just an outline of a human. Sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like metamorphosis, but like metamorphosing, I guess. I don't know. Like transforming, that'll do, into a more detailed person. So it goes from like an outline of a face and of a figure to like a full relief with all of its details and like shadows and like tiny so I felt it sort of apropos of the energy of the album, of recombining and recompiling a person out of the dissolved bits that I felt like I was in at the end of 2018. So yeah, and also his personal context of making, like having his world shattered by, like literally shattered, like parts of him broken, and then having to still do his art, and like he was still visited by the energy of doing art and had to get it out and made this fucking thing that he didn't even really like and thought was like the energy was bad and that he could do better than that, and like all of that is very relatable.
Yeah.
And so I just insisted and it turned out to dictate and just be the perfect synchronicity. Again, it's like just dictated everything. Kind of came together at that point, and it dictated the visual style of the vinyl and the inserts, and everything went from dark to light because of it. So it's like black on white as opposed to white on black of the first album, and even the choice of doing lowercase sort of script instead of like uppercase. Fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Was deliberate to try and soften the whole thing. The subject matter maybe isn't so soft, but I tried to like communicate that I was inviting people in, or I was inviting the listener in to pay attention, and I wasn't just screaming for the sake of it. I was like, there's something here I'm trying to talk to you about, even if I'm technically talking to myself alone in my bedroom or in the spare room of my house. It's one of those things where I became more and more conscious of all of those elements because of the cover. And it sort of feeds back on itself, where halfway through the process we had this cover and I had this sort of vague idea of the direction that I was going in. And then I went back and sort of turned up the volume on all of the things that were perhaps more muted. So I made them more vulnerable, or I reduced the gain on the guitars, or I reshaped stuff to be more emotional. So all because of Josh.
Wow.
It's really fascinating that you're the second guest that we've had on the podcast. We spoke to Droid last month, and they, in a kind of similar way, drew inspiration from the artwork before the record was finished or before it had started. And it's just really fascinating to hear that that's something that you went through your process of making the record too.
It's all the same.
In your head, you're like, oh, you get the artwork made after you finish the record. And it's just really, it's really interesting to hear about these processes that are just not so traditional.
It's all the same, like, energy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just I'm spending it making the record, and he's spending it sketching the thing, and other people spend it, like, writing non-fiction, or they spend it writing poetry, or they spend it, there's different ways that you can express that energy of creation. Like, you can build a table or something, like, whatever. So it all feeds back into itself in the end. And it's nice to have that. It's nice to feel like the whole thing is a complete package like that. But you only get it if you pay attention to it, I guess. Like, you have to listen to it when it's telling you that things have to be a certain way, I guess. Like, after I sent him the demos and he started trying to paint something else or to sketch something else, it took him a bit to listen to the original work and be like, okay, I don't actually need to go back and try and do it again. It's fine as it is, with all of its flaws and all of things. And so that's a lesson from art that I'm learning all the time, and that he learned in that moment. And it's weird. It's a weird, spooky process.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I love the weird. I love the spooky.
I do too. Yeah. I don't know where to go. Like, I feel like you talk about a lot of things, and
sorry.
No, I love it.
It's cool. It's like you open up all these doors and windows, and I'm like, I want to go down that path. But, yeah, it's interesting.
It's a labyrinth.
I do love how you circled back and went back to, he wasn't happy with his initial sketch and wanted to keep doing it, but it already spoke to you at that point. It's like, it's a really cool thing. And I find parallels with that to, you just writing for yourself, all your albums. It's very interesting. And that speaks to the audience, I guess, in a very unique, maybe special way. It's cool.
Well, I hope so. Like, I'm trying to talk about myself, but not in like an egotistical sort of way, where like the only experiences that I have to talk through, the only character I have to inhabit in music and in my art is myself. So I feel like I'm obliged to talk from a first person's perspective as much as I can. I don't like the idea of creating a fictional universe, or of like even the Alters record, where I wrote all of the lyrics for that except for one song, which is we're reading a painting. Like, Black Light Upon Us is reading, it's a painting, but it's a painting of words. So I'm just reading the words on the canvas for that song. But everything else, except for a couple of lines which Lewis gave me as like a start for one of the tracks, is me writing in a sort of obscured first person perspective in a fictional environment, but it's still like I can go on stage and sing them because it's things that I feel and believe, sort of occluded in some ways. But for Convulsing, I have to it's literally me talking shit about myself. But I don't know if want is the word, but I would like it if it forces people or guides them. Like, it doesn't have to be not a gunpoint, but like these things that happen are human experiences relatable. Like, everybody has something relatable to another human being. And so me having an ego death and like the loss of my sense of self and like having to rebuild that happens to people every day. So it's not a unique thing in any way. And so getting on stage and going, I felt really bad. Here is my song about how bad I felt. You can get inside that pretty easily. You remember a time where you felt bad. Mm-hmm. And so I like that as a process. I like that being part of the artwork and the process of performing it. I don't want to feel like I'm on stage when I'm playing it, particularly. I don't want to feel like I'm on stage showing it to you and you just have to stand there and listen. Like, I don't want to feel like an autocrat, or that I'm there's a hierarchy between me and the audience, or there's a barrier. And so that comes that informs the way that I conduct myself on stage. A very unserious person in that way, which some people don't like or feel like it takes them out of. People go to shows to be swept away from their normal lives and grievances and stuff, and I do the opposite. I try to go like, pay attention to the world around you. Like, I'm on stage, like, there's shit happening all around you that's terrible, and you're obliged to pay attention to it. You're obliged to be kind to people, give a fuck about things, like, which is more or less what I said when I was on stage here at the Bendy. Was just like, it's become cool to be aloof or try to use music as a escape. But we're like, listen to fucking Sepultura, everybody. Like, they weren't trying to escape Brazil. They were writing about how there were police and tanks in the street. Like, and it was fucking awesome. Like, you don't need to escape, really. And I think it's foolish in some ways. Well, you can't do it all the time. You have to confront your reality sometimes. So that's what I'm trying to do with Convulsing. And I can't do it any other way. I can't make a fictional world. I can only talk about me and my experiences, but invite other people into them to say, like, do you also understand this? Like, have I said something that relates to you?
I'm glad you brought that up because, seeing you here, at the start of your performance, you articulated, I think, better than I've seen before, about, caring about things, caring about causes, being kind, acknowledging the privileges that people, often who are here have. Like, you guys, you got to pay attention, blah, blah, blah. It was just a really inclusive message, and I think that really stood out to me.
Like, I know it's a complicated thing for a lot of people. Think it's a complicated issue, but for me, it's not so really. How can I put this neatly? The more that I think about doing things like that, the less it feels like it should be customized or improvised, or like it should be something that I actually feel and that I can confidently say in any way that I want at any moment. So I don't ever prepare anything that I'm going to say before I play. And I feel like it's important that before I go to the point of making a whole show about how bad, like, the music is about how awful I feel, or how awful I felt, and all of my personal troubles and stuff like that. I feel like I need to, before I even get to that, acknowledge my place in the world, and that there are horrors beyond measure happening around me all the time. And my genuine feeling is that there's this, like, we've lost the way as musicians, and particularly as metal musicians, about paying attention to that, and giving a fuck about things generally. Like I mentioned Sepultura earlier, and I've been listening to a lot of like techno thrash stuff, 80s. I was listening to Mekong Delta on the way here, and lots of these like Rhineland progressive bands and things from the 80s. That's my favorite kind of metal, I guess, is this like Cold War 80s, early 90s stuff. All of it is extremely lefty music. All of the shit that you grew up, and it's not like that's not like a badge of honor thing, but it's like it's socially aware, conscious music. And at some point around the mid 90s and onwards, stuff started to not mean anything anymore. Like even the death metal records that I love, and like lots of black metal and things that you get exposed to. Black metal is the chronic problem. Extremely escapist genre. And it's all about escaping the reality into some fantasy, whether that's like a violent fantasy or whether it's a period of antiquity that you've never been. Like even the mildest stuff, like listening to Windir or like Summoning or something like that. You're escaping into Lord of the Rings, or like Blind Guardian. You're escaping into Lord of the Rings or whatever. That doesn't appeal to me. What appeals to me is being present in the world that I'm in. And so before I start my show, where I have the time or the opportunity, sometimes I'm more indulgent about it than others. I'm compelled to be like, I'm about to just whinge for an hour, but I have it easy by comparison to like oppressed people around the world, the fucking genocide going on, like all manner of horrors all the time, femicides, fucking racism and prejudice, and just like, it's awful. So that's all it is. It's just like putting myself in my place for me, before anyone else. It's like putting myself in my fucking place of where I am and what I'm doing. So I'm not doing it as a performance. Like it's not part of the performance. It's a literal acknowledgement in that way, and that includes like acknowledging the place where I am, and that my ancestors stole it, and like that I benefit and participate in, regardless of whether how hard I try. I benefit and participate in a system of oppression and prejudice, because that's just what the state is. And so that's what it's about for me. It's about putting myself in my place, and how I choose to say that to myself changes from night to night. And on that night, it was in whatever way that I said it when I got on stage. So, yeah, that's what it is for me.
Awesome. I don't even know what to say anymore. It was a good show. On top of that, it was a very good show. So. Yeah,
I'm always so dissociated by the whole thing. Where there's a couple of things that I want to happen, like where I'm focused on it. Like if I do this one thing right, then I can check out for the rest of the show, and those went okay.
Yeah.
So I hope that was all right. But yeah, for most of the time, I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their process on and off stage, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Previous bands I've been in, don't talk to the drummer when he gets off stage, because he needs an hour to like figure out if he played a good show or not. Like, so yeah, for me, I don't care. Well, as soon as it's over, it's like, great, I can have a beer now. Like I got through it. I don't think,
It's almost like that. Then you're at the merch desk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is there time for the beer?
Yeah, well, usually someone's kind enough to like go
beer
and get
on the way to the merch desk.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I try to. Mostly, I'm just reflecting about whether the thing was represented properly. I don't really care about errors and omissions or things like that. It's like if they worked, if it was an unplanned thing that happened, but it didn't take anything away. I only get really like in my own head if it was a preventable thing that's my fault. If Robin or Peter do whatever, something happens, if fucking Peter falls over, I would be like, lol. It's like, I don't mind. If it's something that I did that was preventable, if I just like practice my set one more time that week and just like, or if I'd been thinking about the fucking thing that I was doing and not like, well, I've got to do the washing when I get home or whatever. If I'd been present, I would have avoided it. But like, those are the only things that I get upset about. Convulsing is more just like there and then it's gone, in terms of the way I think about it, like a jazz band or something. We improvised our way through the set and we got to the end.
Yeah, you got there. You did it. We talked a little bit about your other bands. Is there anything on the horizon for Alters?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
That we don't really know. It's yes, there will be another album.
Yeah.
But I guess in the simplest way, we played a lot of shows and Lewis pulled the trick that I pulled in 2017 of deleting his whole life and rebuilding it in a new way and starting Black Sound. And so his prime directive is like being on establishing Black Sound and getting that off the ground. And you can see from that, like the amount of energy he's put into doing it and making it a community space and all of the art stuff, and like he's really sunk his whole existence into it. Yeah. And that doesn't leave much room for Alters, even if Alters is also inseparable from Lewis. It's like it's very important to him. Yeah. So inside of him are two wolves and they're fighting. It's like Black Sound and Alters. So eventually there'll be time away from Black Sound, or maybe not away from it, but like in parallel to it, it'll feel less. There'll be less pressure to devote every second of the day to Black Sound for Lewis, and he'll be able to come back to the jam room. We don't really even have a jam room, but that's part of a new exciting chapter for Alters, is that we could just practice at Black Sound, and we probably will. Like I work in Northcote on nights where we want to be writing another record, which we will do eventually. It would be trivial for me to just drive around the corner and go there and do it. Yeah. But yeah, at the moment, it's all consuming. Yeah. And I know what that's like. Like that's why it took me so long to make another record. After Grievous was like rebuilding my life and feeling good enough and feeling stable enough in it to have an artistic practice. It's fucking draining. Yeah. Especially when you've been moving house, and you kind of need things to be, especially if you're like a spectrum-minded sort of person, like I am definitely. If there's too much stuff and instability in my life, it makes it really hard for me to do art, and because I need to be able to think about as little other things as possible. Yeah. So that's what it will take. Yeah. And I don't think it's that far away. And in the meantime, Dan and I have made ourselves busy. Like I did my record sort of in parallel to the last Alters tour in the US. Dan got the seed for Essence and has done the first one last year where Alters played, and that was kind of our last. So it was like shutting the book on that chapter of Ascetic Reflection. And now this one, I'll play as Convulsing at the end of the Sunday night. And we also have like Life Cult and Tear and like Diploid and Pod People are coming back, and like just an insane lineup. So Dan's pushing himself in that, and also doing other bands. He's doing Bruxist with Dab from Aghanim, and there's probably going to be another Bleakwood record at some point, which I'm fiending for. I hope I can get involved in it even. Yeah. So we're all still doing music. Yep. And Lewis is still doing music in, like I was just talking about, art being the same energy. It's the same energy running Black Sound and doing that for him as it is doing Alters. It's just he's not playing guitar. He's playing an Excel spreadsheet instead. That's basically what it is.
It's like raising a baby, opening a shop.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just waiting, for better or worse. And because Alters is so important to Lewis, and it's so much of it, the reason the second album happened was he got the thrum of like, I need to make it for like my own sanity and my own mortality. Like it came from within. He needed to do it. That'll happen again, and we just need to be ready for it. So to grab it, and we will. We are. Just, I don't know when. Can't tell you when. I have no idea.
Just keep our ears listening. Yeah.
Keep watching the skies.
Watch this space.
Oh, the quote is skis, isn't it? Yeah. That would have been the funnier thing to say. Fuck.
We had a lot of fun hanging out at Black Sound. He let us run around all day. It was great.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Having played live shows for a number of years, do you have any favourite venues that you love to play, whether that's in Melbourne or anywhere?
Most of them don't exist anymore. A couple of them, I guess, still do. But like, the ones that I have the most memories of. One of them I didn't play. I went to so many shows at Blackwire Records in Sydney and in Annandale, sort of Petersham, while it was still a thing. That's basically where I spent my time when I wasn't when I didn't have a band. It was sort of pre-Convulsing, in some cases pre-Dumbsaint as well. I was just going to all ages DIY punk shows at Blackwire and watching some of my favorite bands ever, but I never got to play there. The bass player in Convulsing, Peter, one of his bands, Making, is from that time period, and they remain one of my favorite bands ever. And we'll make him do that music again with Chris and Ivan. I'll make that band get back together. I don't know how, but I will. So I wish I'd got to do that. And the other spot is Beat Disc in Parramatta, which by the time this is out, it will be announced that I'm going back to Parramatta to play a show for Parramatta Lanes, which is very funny to me that I'm playing Parramatta Lanes. It's like playing Vivid or something, or like Melbourne Jazz Festival or something as a death metal band. It's like,
wow.
Yeah, wow.
But I'll get to play my Beat Disc show because I missed that whole period, the whole mid period of 2010 to 2017 or something. All of these little DIY spaces were alive and not as heavily regulated, and now everything's gentro in Annandale and gentrified in Parramatta as well, heavily, and you can't really get away with it anymore unless you're doing some sort of state-sponsored thing like this. Like Parramatta Lanes is a state, it was council and New South Wales state government thing. So those are my favourites, is those super intimate spaces.
Yeah.
And all of the ones that we played overseas with Alters and with Dumbsaint, my most favourite ones are just like the floor shows where, like, this is simultaneously the best and worst show we've ever played. Alters did a show in Barcelona in a heat wave.
Bro.
And it was upstairs at like a rehearsal, like a DIY, like basically a squat sort of thing, but like it was a legal squat. So very DIY, very underfunded venue upstairs for young people. It was like on the third floor of this sort of semi-industrial bit. And because of noise restrictions, they had to have the windows closed while we played. And there was no central air conditioning and no fans that were working. So we had just these little like Bunnings style pedestal fans. So like this big, blowing basically 45-degree air back at us while we played. And hot lights and the PA system and a room full of bodies in a heat wave in Barcelona. And it was a floor show. It was fucking awesome. But we were all just like absolutely pissing sweat the whole time. And Dan had recently had keyhole heart surgery, because Dan has been dealing with like a heart, like it's a nerve condition in his heart where if it's unmedicated particularly, but just sort of at random, environmental and diet things like this can provoke it, it will just start beating really, really fast and he won't be able to slow it down. And the way you slow it down is with like they stop your heart and then reboot it. It's like doing just like a hold the power button down and reboot the laptop. Soft reset. So right before we went to Europe, he had the first surgery. I think that was at the time. I can't remember if it was the USA one. It must have been. It was around that time anyway. So the whole show, I was constantly looking over my shoulder at Dan, going like, "Are you dead? Yeah. Are you gonna die?" Because it was like, playing in an oven,
That's horrible. Yeah.
getting super dehydrated on a floor show. But we played a hellishly intense show. It was like, because we were just so keen to get through it, we all just like demolished it.
Yeah.
So amazing show. And then I had to run out of the room as the instant I finished playing and lay on the concrete in the hallway with face down, just like this, to try and like heat sink all of the heat of my body into the floor.
Oh god.
So I love those sorts of shows, but I also hate them. Like, and there's another one in France called Le Club, which is like a downstairs. It's almost like playing in a fucking ossuary or something. It's like super low ceilings, like just barely above. I'm not a very tall person, and I barely fit down there because it was built for like tiny French people
Yeah.
300 years ago. There's a great video of a band called Abhorration playing there recently. And so it's another one of those shows where it's like, if anything goes wrong, everyone in the venue dies. Like, it's one of those places where, like,
That sounds
if
like
the
a
ceiling
show.
falls down for some reason, everyone's dead because there's no escape route. You're in like a dungeon, basically.
Brutal conditions for a brutal show.
It was
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
cool. And that was the tour with Fossilizations. This is from the same tour as Barcelona, a couple of nights earlier. Touring with a band from Brazil called Fossilization, who are fucking awesome. And their whole shtick is like bones and like dust and exhumed dust and corpses and stuff. Like, not gore, but like fossilized human remains.
Wow.
So Vaca would come out on stage wearing his leather and his bone necklace, and it was, yeah, and you're playing in a dungeon, like in an ossuary. It was magnifique.
Pretty good.
In terms of stagecraft, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. I wish I could do that with my bands, but as I said, I'm unserious about it, so I have no experience with ossified remains to draw from, so I can't inhabit it. So venues like that I fucking love. I love any sort of unpretentious space more than anything else. But then on the flip side of the coin, we played CDMX in Mexico City. We did a tour with Ulcerate, and we played in Mexico. That was... I don't know if you've ever been at a show where they basically did a football chant at the band on stage, but like, we're just a little band from, there's altars, and we had like ole 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 altars on the stage, and we're like, what the fuck?
Sick.
Packed room, people were like bootlegging our merch and Ulcerate's merch, like bootleg t-shirts, and wore them to the show.
Wow.
And we're selling them outside, and we were just like,
Did you buy your own? I'd buy a bootleg shirt.
I tried to get a shirt off the back of a guy, and he was just like, because he only made himself one out of respect or something, because he was like a billboard for his bootlegging service. He's like, if you want to print merch in Mexico, come see me. I'll look at. And I tried to get it off of him, and he was like, no, I only have the one shirt with me. I'm like, okay. And we played the Rickshaw in Toronto. No, Vancouver. It's the other side, isn't it? Toronto's... Yeah, so it's Vancouver. We played a Rickshaw. And that is like playing the Opera House. It's like this... and they've big like screens on either side of the stage and a huge depth stage. It was like playing a... Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like playing at Margaret Court or something. It's fucking obscene.
Wow.
Obscene. So those are always impressive in the sense of... this is what life could be like if I played real music. I could be doing this. I could be playing stages like this if I wasn't playing this.
Yeah. What did you say? You played the flute at the very start.
Silly noise shit.
Right?
Yeah. I did play the Opera House in the orchestra when I was on the flute.
Wow.
Um,
Were there any bootleg shirts?
No.
No?
no,
Oh.
they would have just been white shirts. Just like a dress shirt.
Collared shirt with a simple pocket.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yep. And yeah, I'm glad there's no photographic evidence of those times, because it was like 2001 and I fully would have had like frosted tips playing the flute.
God.
That was of the time. That was very in vogue.
Very
Yeah.
trendy, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Linkin Park haircut in my concert band.
You weren't the only one.
So yeah, so that sort of stuff is all the in-between stuff is kind of annoying in that, like, I always want it to be really magnanimous and ridiculous or super intimate, and so all of the medium cap things feel the weirdest for me to play, because it feels like there's the most distance between me and the audience. In the bigger rooms, paradoxically, you feel more connected somehow, because I don't know, everyone feels small in the big space, but in a medium room it can feel like you're above it, especially when you've got a stage that's higher than everyone else. It can feel really weird. The bass is kind of weird like that as well. But so that's no shade on a medium cap venue. I love the small cap stuff and the intimate stuff. I love floor shows. I'm feeling like my dream show is, I guess, there's two kinds. There's playing an in the round show. Like, I went to watch Yard Act at, I think it was at Night Cat, and they did an in the round show, because Night Cat is like a burlesque joint, former and current burlesque joint, kind of. So the band sets up in the middle of the floor and everyone else just watches from whatever angle around in a circle.
It's so cool watching bands play from every angle.
Yard
Very
Act were
exposed.
fucking sick as well. Like, that was a great show.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do a show like that, and it would be challenging to try and work out how to do it. It's all, like Metallica do it now. Like, there's these big in the round shows where they have, like, you know, and you just the four of them or the three of them who are mobile, like running around to different points in the stage and focusing on different segments of the crowd.
Yeah.
Doing some sort of in the round show like that would be fascinating for me. There's a band from Japan that I really love called Toe, who used to do them all the time. And my other band, Dumbsaint, the last shows that we played, maybe ever, we got back together to do them, were supporting Toe when they came to Australia at the end of last year. So I'd love to do like an in the round show somewhere just to see how we could pull it off as a 3-piece in either of the two bands that I'm in. Or like a playing somewhere like Woodville Town Hall in SA, in a venue where like I would have gone to see the Necks or something like this, there's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of really ritzy sort of locations in the Adelaide Hills. There's one that I can't remember the name of. Oh my god! It doesn't matter. You can look it up. It's where you go to watch a violin soloist or like a small ensemble play, and it's very expensive. It's like a totally bourgeois environment. Woodville Town Hall is one such thing. There was one that I thought about when I was watching the Necks there, literally. Or like playing Brunswick Ballroom or something is what I would put it down to. Or that other one that's in like Thornbury Theatre or something. I don't know if anybody went to the Otterbocky Beaver show. That was at Thornbury Theatre. And yeah, it's like velvet curtains and like stuff and like lace and stuff. And then this fucking Japanese like power violence band comes out. It's like,
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that. Just somewhere I don't belong. I completely don't belong as a death metal musician.
Well, that's something we like to talk about as well. Like, kind of dream venues, unconventional venues. We like to draw it upon that video. What the fuck is up, Denny's? I don't know if you've.
Yeah, of course I've seen. Yeah.
I asked that because some people haven't seen that.
That boggles my mind.
It's interesting, but
It was a great video. I wish I was at that gig.
we want to know like what the fuck is up, Denny's sort of venue is, non-traditional sort of place.
Yeah, what's your Denny's?
We should have done it while we were over in the US and play Waffle House or something. Just set up all the shit, set up all the shit at the Waffle House, because then you can actually have a fist fight, and it's like part of the policy. The staff have to help you.
True. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I've got one. You know, my buddy Simeon has a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater cover band called Birdman.
Cool.
Where it was just a thing he did for the Vivid Festival a few years ago. And it's now become like a fully endorsed cover band. Like Tony Hawk endorses it and has come out and done speaking tours and had him and THPS Birdman support him and play all the THPS 2 soundtrack stuff. They did a show for Vivid Festival that got shut down within like a second because it was at a sort of unorthodox venue. So I bring that up to say that anywhere I can think of where I would do a show would just be immediately shut down anywhere in the country. So I don't know. I guess my Denny's would be, I don't know, Engadine Macca's or something like that.
Nice.
Just for fun.
The famous Engadine Macca's.
Well, like a Cafe de Wheels. That's a Sydney people's thing. We'll do a Harry's Cafe de Wheels.
Yeah, you got to think about the catering and what the rider would be. Lots of fries for everyone.
Just to explain that, I don't know if people know outside Sydney. It's like a rockabilly pie shop. There's several locations. There's one in Parramatta. There used to be one on Parramatta Road right at the top before it becomes like the motorway again. And there's like, when you go there and get a pie mushy peas gravy in a plate sort of thing, you'll see photographs of like ex-prime ministers there eating a pie and like public figures and stuff like this. So, and it's got a very like Happy Days sort of vibe about it, and like motorcycles and like, yeah, like, you know. So that would be funny to do. I don't know, there's plenty, but yeah, all of them would be shut down instantly.
Yeah, that's fast.
That's the goal.
So the mind wanders a little bit. Diploid did a show in a storm drain That's fairly common in Victoria, but I guess like there's been a few generator shows. My buddies in Piron, one of them was just at a generator show in NYC. I don't even know who was playing, but the idea of doing a generator show in NYC is crazy to me, because surely the cops will be there in 5 seconds. Like you're in the middle of the city. We did our dream show as Alters. We played St. Vitus before it closed.
Yeah.
We were like one of the last gigs there. And we
Really?
we just squeaked in. Yeah, it was like a couple of months later that the dude managed to get the city to shut them down, which is a travesty. But
That is an
we managed to get there, and we played and it was like a full multi-tracked show by Frank, Pit Full of Shit, Max Volume Silence, scene legend Frank Huang, and it was a multi-cam shot and multi-track through the desk, and we played a good show. And we played everything we had in the repertoire, and it was fucking awesome. And then the venue shut down, so it was just like, oh, thank God we did that. So I've done a few of them already, I guess. I've done a few of the dream shows already. I certainly felt after that show that it was like, I've done the US now. I don't need to come back and do another thing. I would if conditions were different, because I've got lots of friends there, and I didn't get to see that many of them both times. I'd like to go back to like a couple of places that we really loved. Yeah. But there's plenty of untapped locations in Australia. So, okay, here's a good one.
Here we go.
It's a very short. Penrith, where I grew up, has just sort of emerged in the last 6 to 8 months as like another DIY hotspot, because there's a venue out there called Elton Chong's, which I don't know if you haven't heard of it, now you have. Fantastic name, Elton Chong. Wow. I wonder how long it will survive. But the last time Penrith had like a scene was when I was in high school, like for the metalcore and hardcore. Like you would go there and play the PCYC, and then you would do like Warrington and Wentworth, and you go around the western suburbs and play all the PCYCs and do all ages mosh shows in the basketball courts of like the Don Bosco or whatever, like the youth club. And a bunch of my friends were in that scene. Like my friend Morgan, he played in a band called In Trenches, who you may have seen if you went to the Bendy show, the previous Bendy show, is from that scene. And there hasn't basically been anything since then for Penrith, and just suddenly now it's like coming back alive again. So I would love to go back to my hometown and play a show in Penrith, cool. Which would be funny. But I wonder how long it will last, because it's an hour, like it's a Western Line train. You got if you live in like even as close as somewhere like Parramatta, it's still like half an hour, 40 minutes on the train. At the end of the night, it's all stations trains all the time, so it takes fucking forever. And the trains don't run all night; they'll stop at like 11:30, 12 o'clock. So like going there and getting home from those sorts of shows be a huge pain. So I wonder how long it will last. But I'd love to do that if I can get there before it closes.
Something to think about.
Jones Sutherland Centre. Let me just rattle off a few more unconventional locations. I watched Oran Ambachi at the Jones Sutherland Centre for ambient noise art music fans. Watching Oran Ambachi play extremely harsh, but then also extremely serene art music on his guitar and synth apparatus at the Jones Sutherland Centre in Penrith was surreal. So there's lots of those unorthodox things. That's like a recital centre show, but like a mini one, I guess. Yeah.
It's cool. I love the contrast between this answer and last month's answer with Droid. Just straight up Quarry.
Yeah, they knew they wanted to play a Quarry.
Barely could finish
Pompeii. I'd like to do Pompeii.
Yeah, there you go. Let's dream.
Yes.
I would also like to add...
Pink Floyd, baby.
Yeah. I would also like to add that the Edgar Dean Macca's is where Scott Morrison allegedly shit himself.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's the idea.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
there you go. It's just for those paying attention. Not paying
lastly,
attention.
what's it called? Red Rocks, the amphitheatre. Fucking oath, dude.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Please.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. I don't even have to play a show. Just want to go.
Yeah.
I think any show there would be amazing.
And all of the Fire in the Mountains stuff. The previous location was awesome. The new one looks great as well. Hopefully they can remain there. There's lots of those little fests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ascension in Iceland, I think it's called Ascension. Is the one they do in Reykjavik now. They would do those in obscure locations. So there's lots of stuff around the world, but all extremely prohibitive for an Australian to get to.
True.
Well, when we get this Quarry Festival off the ground, we'll chuck you on.
Please.
Yeah. Hook, Riff and Banger Quarry Festival.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll go off.
Yeah.
We'll just put everybody.
Warragamba Dam Fest
There you
2026.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. In speaking about dream venues and unconventional things, and while we're in the world of, opening our minds a little bit and dreaming big, who are some of your favourite local bands to play with? And then on the back of that, who are you dying to play with? Diploid.
Diploid.
Obviously.
No,
Yeah. Correct.
that's my canned response for those questions. There are so many.
Yeah.
Newest one is Leon and Rob from Emo. They used to be in a band called Quiet Steps. Are doing a band with Liam, and I don't actually know who the drummer is now that I think about it. I don't think we've met, but I was a fan of Quiet Steps. They're doing an Oz, like a noise rock, like kind of a chat pile sort of thing. But parallel to Chat Pile, not like, well, let's do a Chat Pile band. Like they're the same, they're older than Chat Pile, and the influences that produced Chat Pile also produced Leaker.
Oh, they just released
and they
something.
just put their record out like yesterday.
Spoke to them like 2 days ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're fucking awesome. That record is so good. I described it on the internet as music for sticking nails into your own head, and that's what it feels like. Like the cover feels like that. And it's Liam's first like shot at doing vocals in a band. And you wouldn't guess it. Like he's
Doesn't sound like a first go. No.
no. Liam is no stranger to music. Like he's been doing music for a really long time and listening to it, making it. But this is his first shot at like doing that sort of being the center of the attention in that way, and he fucking killed it. Yeah, like so I get to play a show with them sort of in a weird way. Like they're on the pre-fest for Essence on the Friday, so I'll get to see them.
Yeah.
And I'll get to see Hebephrenic as well, which is Chris from Gravier and Defamer and a bunch of old Brizzy bands, and Leo on drums. It was Robin did the session for the first record, but they just and Jack Greenhill, the guitar player, is a veteran Brizzy guy who stopped doing metal for a really long time, moved to Tassie, studied jazz, came back to Brizzy, made this wonky like avant-garde black metal, death metal, extreme tempo stuff. Hebephrenic are crazy. So then they're doing the pre-fest as well. And who else can I talk of? Cave Sermon. We need to do Cave Sermon band. Make a Cave Sermon band that I can play in and or watch.
And then I will come and watch. Oh.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we will.
And a band that I would like to personally join. Another one.
Different question.
Another one is Toe Hider. It's Mike Mills.
Cool, yeah.
I don't know how. There's not much intersection between my tastes. I'm a big time prog nerd. I'm progressive. There's prog and then there's progressive music. Like there's semantically there's a bunch of different stuff that happens between the 60s and now. But Mike is my favorite Australian like progressive musician by far. Is an incredible like conceptual mind and incredible music brain, and also very silly in kind of the Zappa-esque sense where like his music is very unserious thematically a lot of the time, but in the same way listening to like Apostrophe or Overnight Sensation or like all the Zoota Lures and the weirder mid-period Zappa records where he's like singing a song about a biscuit or whatever. That's what Toe Hider is, and it's just so overwhelmingly high level, high caliber musicianship all the time. Just like ridiculous. I'd love to be in that band. I've seen him play in various iterations of that lineup over the years, but I just want to be in it. I want to be in that band. So I'd love to do that. That would be a fun show to do, is Toe Hider and Convulsing. I'm always trying to book lineups that are like least like me. So I'd love to do a show, any shows where I can put on like slowcore bands or like anything that isn't metal, as far away from metal as possible would be awesome.
As a punter, that's like generally a very enjoyable sort of gig.
It can be.
It's like, yeah.
Some people fucking hate it, and they will freely tell you that it's like, this isn't metal. But like, I I want that stuff to influence me. I want to be, I want to soak up the things that make other people produce other kinds of music, or the sorts of colors and textures and things that people play with in other music. And I saw, this isn't shade. I just have to preface this because it kind of comes across as shade. I saw a post, I think it was Taylor Young, who was the drummer in Nails, is a producer, is in Twitching Tongues with his brother. I think he might have been reposting his brother. And he was saying like all these dudes going and doing like Amoeba Records grab bags and stuff and pulling out all these obscure prog records and stuff, and it's like, and avoiding the metal that really influences you, fucking posers. Like, don't be afraid to say that, yeah, dude, I actually like Sepultura or whatever. Like, it was something along these lines. And I've been thinking about that since I read it. I was like, well, no, but I am more influenced by things like that than I am metal a lot of the time. Like, I could pull out fucking Gateways to Annihilation or something, but it's like, it's obvious. Like, to anyone who listens to a Convulsing for a second, particularly certain songs, you go like, that's obviously Morbid Angel. So I don't have to, like, it's more interesting to me to try and find ways to say, this is to my taste, and I bet you didn't think it was. Then, like, here's the confirmation that what you thought is correct is what so I take that approach to the lineups as well. And I tried to do that with the Bendy lineup, where I was like, I'm going to book a bunch of bands which are kind of like me but not like me, and Matt helped me with the admin of that, but I basically went around to everyone and said, can you do the show? So it was a heavy night full of heavy bands, but Well don't sound like Convulsing, Reekmind don't sound like Well or Convulsing, Tumor don't sound like Reekmind or Well or Convulsing. Like, we all sound different even though we're doing the same thing, but not so disconnected
it was a good
that
balance,
it's weird.
Yeah.
And it flowed quite well, I feel, as well, which was, it just happened to be that way. It was good. It was a happy accident that it turned out like that.
Yeah, cool.
So more of that, please. More. There are plenty of great Australian bands. My favourite, the one last one I want to give as the non-metal shout-out is there was a band, the guy was called Casey, and he did a record with his band Sleep Decade. And I can't actually remember the title of the record now, but I can see the cover art. And that's one of the most brilliantly recorded pieces of Australian music ever made, as far as I'm concerned. It's not a metal record by any means. It's like an Art of Fighting record, or a slowcore thing, or like Blue Tile Lounge, or like, it's that Codeine. If anybody went to see Codeine when they came and played out here, it's that kind of music. It's really slow, sensitive, very clean, a lot of space. It's the kind of music that you would like sit quietly with a glass of whiskey and a lamp and just like put the record on at a reasonable volume and just sit there on a night of the weather that we're currently having, where it's kind of like body temperature after 8 p.m. and you're like sitting there drinking a whiskey and like just with the windows open and just listening to it. It's one of those albums, and it's fucking incredible, immaculately recorded, immaculately mastered, and bands like that are super important to me and super inspirational. So yeah, bands like that are the kinds of things that I want to play with and hear.
Yeah. More for that.
Yeah.
All for that.
Yeah, what a great... I was just picturing you on the Chesterfield with your whiskey, windows open, record playing.
Painted a good scene.
Yeah, you did.
That's good.
There's a song on it about Buckminster Fuller, like, that's a thing you can look up. Science Man is a science man, a famous science man with like, I think he came up with the concept of the geodesic dome. I think that's his invention. Anyway, these are just things that you can look up in your own time, listeners.
The pod that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
But you can't really do anything else while you listen to it. It demands that you sit there and pay attention to it. And it's not like, it's like listening to an Earth record or something. If I just draw it back to metal people references, it's like listening to an Earth record, or like one of the Sun White albums, not like the things, with the heavy guitars, but like the more serene stuff, or listening to like, an Oren Ambachi record, where Grapes from the Estate would be the one that I would liken it to, where it's trying to like paint you a scene. And there's a video of them playing, I think it was one of the last shows, playing up in Brizzy at a friend's house. I think it was his house at the time, their house rather. And as they play, the sun's going down. Like they're playing at a window, and they've started just before sunset. And throughout the set, the sun goes down until just at the end, it's sort of just about sunset when they finish playing. So one of the best pieces of concert cinema I've ever seen in my life is Sleep Decade in Brisbane in like 2018 or something. Wish I was at that show.
Giving us a lot to look at after this, which is cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
I think taking the time to just sit and listen to a record in full, uninterrupted, put your phone away, throw your phone out the window, and just sit and exist.
Well, that's
I think
what this is for. That's why. That's why I resurrected.
Bring back the iPod.
That's why I resurrected this after like so long.
Yeah.
There's the technology advanced to the point where you could rebuild them into like the T1000.
I love seeing that. That's cool.
And I still had it, so I rebuilt it, and I reconfigured my relationship with music in that way, where I can't get a notification that interrupts it now.
Yeah.
I've gone back. The only way I could go back further is like with the Discman that I used to hold closed on the bus because I broke the clip. The MP3 CD of like Carcass and Carcass and Edge of Sanity and Deeds of Flesh and At the Gates and Dark Tranquillity all at the same time and Run DMC. And like holding it closed
That's
cool.
on the bus.
Holding it still so it doesn't skip as well.
Yeah.
Bring that back.
I do like that, yeah.
Nostalgia is a trap, but also like taking that sort of stuff out of there and bringing it has been useful for me to go like, what's the stuff I actually want to keep from that time that wasn't painful? It's like, that relationship with art or with music, and bring that forward and re-engage in that way.
I've said it a lot, like since streaming has become a thing, I've not intentionally, but lost connection with, say, like an album. I'm really bad at like recalling a song name. I'd know it is maybe like track 6 now, maybe if it's not on shuffle accidentally somehow.
Yeah.
So I do miss like the physical media for that and the dedicated time to sit there and, actually just listen, chill out with the record. It's a good time.
But you've got to physically put it on.
Yeah.
So you've got to connect with it much more than is the norm now, I suppose.
Yeah.
The song name thing can happen with like, it's not necessarily an inattentive thing too. It's like I often forget the names of songs and albums and things because I think of them as the cover.
Yeah.
And I tend to listen to that, like I'll put them on and then just let it happen, and I won't look at the jacket, or I won't look at the iPod, or I won't look at the thing, and it will just happen as one entity. So I often forget even the track order of my own album because I think about like it's the work from start to finish, and somewhere around the middle this happens. So I don't think you need to feel bad about not remembering song titles.
You've still got a relationship with the music itself. It's just not necessarily in track names.
Sometimes the title is important, other times it's not.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
yeah. That's cool. Well, look, it's been awesome chatting, and I feel like I could just keep going on and on and on. But I guess there's a point where we do have to say, maybe we have to stop.
Maybe.
Maybe. Is that now?
I don't know. The Bendy will kick us out eventually.
I think they'll kick us out eventually, yeah.
They'll call last drinks one day.
Yeah.
And kick us out of this room today.
It happens anytime I talk to anyone about anything. It's just like, oh, whoops, it's been 3.5 hours again. Oh.
It's been been great chatting to you though.
Yeah.
Like, really insightful, learning so much about your projects and the way that you write them and just your process.
It's everyone's stuff. Like, I made it, but like, I want it to be everybody's stuff, which is why it's free. And it always will be. Like, I ask people to pay me for the physical media because it has a cost associated with it. But the digital stuff has been free from the beginning and will always be. And I give away everything. Like, if people ask me, hey, how did you play it? What were your settings? What's the VSTs? How did you master it? I give away a lot of my time and my skills and stuff freely because I feel it's important to do that. And it's partly my obligation to do that. So the art, I think, is the same. Where it doesn't belong to me fully. Like, it's from me, but it doesn't belong to me necessarily.
That's cool. Yeah, even like how you have like your Guitar Pro files, on your Bandcamp that you can give away, which is a really cool thing. It helps. It doesn't gatekeep music. It lets people figure out what you're doing if they're interested.
I had to charge for those because it doesn't let you include files like as a thing unless you sign value to it.
Interesting.
So I couldn't just like go here, download them for free. And if I put them on like Ultimate Guitar or whatever, it also gatekeeps people from accessing the files. You can only view it, you can't download it. So I just like had to bite the bullet and charge for them. It's not because I wanted to, just for the record. So they should be free. I will just send them to you if you want. So that's the approach I take to it. Is yeah, I made it, but like it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to give it to everyone.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. Again, yeah, it's just been a really good chat. And yeah, I can't wait to see another show, whatever, project band it's with. Even your dream ones, maybe with Toe Hider one day.
Well, I desperately want to do, like, as I said, I'm a big prog nerd boy. We don't have really a scene for that sort of stuff. We don't have a scene for like Silk Shirt 90s, like Fate's Warning stuff. Like Mike is basically as close as we get to that sort of thing. And then there's like Voyager and stuff, I guess. Voyager have kind of morphed into a more of a pop prog sort of thing.
Yep.
But then we've got Vanishing Point and a few other bands kicking around. Anubis, old friends from Sydney, like flying the flag for like Pink Floyd, Euro Canterbury style Genesis, Gentle Giant sort of prog, but in the modern sense. And then there's what's the other guy's the project? Hemina is a spin-off band of that. So there's a few little bands doing stuff, but I want to start up a band like that, and I'll try to use people from Melbourne who are similarly inclined. So some of whom you might not expect be into that sort of thing. Sabotage, like 80s hair shred, would be like fucking. Yeah, but more likely I'll try and play more Convulsing shows here. Now that I live here, it's a bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we can look forward to that. I think it was,
definitely.
6
And Alters will eventually turn back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, we're really keen.
Yeah. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for coming
Brendan.
on the pod.
Yeah, cheers.
It's my pleasure.
It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you. We did it.
Congrats, everyone.
I feel like our silly thumbs have become a gag now. We've got to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting up with me.